Hello, everybody. This is Gene Star134 coming to you with a new movie review. Now, this is World War Z. This movie is, if anything, in the gaming community has kind of swelled some interesting controversy because it comes out around the time of one of the biggest games that has come out in the past 2013 year, and that is Last of Us. And there are a lot of similarities, but being a big fan of the game, but also watching the movie impartially was a major point of all movies that I watch. Not to tag on something, not to push on something, so I'm not even going to mention anything as far as that goes. For those of you who are in the gaming community, claim there are copies or kind of runoff of the movie, stealing from the game, that does not hinder or change the movie as it's set. So for those who do not know the game and only know the movie, this is what it's based off of. So Brad plays this family man who's just doing his own thing with his family. They have kind of like the generic morning where it's like, something's already going to happen. It's in the name of the movie. So move on to that. And there's this major outbreak of this something that they called a virus and then claimed it was something else. And so eventually they just call it zombies. Now, that's where I kind of see a similarity, and I try not to jump too much on it, but the story is kind of hackneyed in the sense that it doesn't have much direction. It assumes that you can guess for most of the plot and just kind of assume the chaos will happen, and for the chaos that does happen, it does well. It depends a lot on CGI, but that's not too bad, especially for the crowds and mobs that it has to do. But when you have nothing but zombies who just look completely fake running at full sprint, it does take away from the feeling of fear. So it turns into this action movie. And that's why it's very difficult now to determine the genre or determine zombies into a genre. So overall, the story is Brad Pitt is this retired guy from you don't know until you find out he was with the UN as a secret agent almost, and that in order to keep his family safe, he must find the cure in order to keep them secluded away from the populace to a certain extent, either on the naval vessel that they get to or somewhere else. And so in order to do that, he has to dive in and go find the cure again. And this is alright. This is not a bad thing. It's just, from then on, it's nothing but Brad Pitt. And granted, it's not always a bad story. There are plenty of movies that focus on one actor, one character. But the problem is, he is not the best action hero. He's a great actor. He's done very great movies. I'm not going to lie. He's done some of my favorite movies. Fight Club. The list goes on and on. I won't bore you with that detail. But action has never been one of his particular genres. And so what should be somewhat of a horror movie in aesthetic, for at least zombies, turns into this action movie where it's, running away from these monsters. And granted, that's okay. But his character just doesn't permit it. His build and his body, yes. His character and the way he acts, no. So, not to ruin too much, overall, you get the generic story. So, some assumptions can be made, but I won't ruin anything. But as far as the plot goes, it's a bit hackneyed. It's about a bit everywhere. I mean, it uses a lot of kind of flashback thoughts or retrospective thoughts, I should say, and it there within the first 20 minutes of the movie, it did have a sense of aesthetic fear, but then flips everything on its back, like I said, and does the whole action set from there, and it's like, it's not even very good action. Now, the scenes that are compiled with the CGI are actually fairly well done. It's still, to me, believable. It's still something where it's like even though there were monsters or zombies, whatever you called, they looked well enough to the point where you could still be scared of them. And that's what works very well. Now, is it a movie that is worth watching? It's one of those movies that falls into the area where it's not too good, but it's not too bad. It just misses its beat, and I can understand why. This movie went through a lot of production difficulties and even went to the cutting board a couple times and fought between the director and Brad Pitt. So the focus is everywhere, and the story is a little bit chopped up and everywhere also. So what does this really do? Does it allow you to be entertained? Somewhat. Does it allow you to feel connected to the character? There isn't enough time to feel connected to the character at all. You get a 10-minute family scene, not even 4-minute family scene, and so there's no establishment of character. So overall, as a dumb, okay, somewhat attempted movie of a thought process, it's pretty good. It is a good post-apocalyptic movie. Now, anything else within that line is lost. It really is, just to the fact that it could not decide what it wanted to be. Horror, survival, action. It just lost everything within the first 15 minutes. And honestly, the actors were not too bad, but with the movie that had so many problems, I can see why it just didn't do so well. But I hope this review somewhat satiated your idea or thought process in World War Z. It's a decent movie. If you got the time, go watch it, but I wouldn't say buy it. Just rent it. So, it's just Gene Starman 34 signing out.